Okay, recap for Thursday, the 30th of October 2025. Alright, so let's start with the dating. Clear everything on the shop. Okay. So, I can't lie, today was a bit of a mess for me personally. However, let me just actually just check one thing. If I put the upper quadrant. See this fair value gap because of the volume imbalance here. Or would it be there? You know, it's all a bit of a mess. Anyway, let's get rid of this. So last week when we left the range, we made the low on Wednesday, and then on Thursday we bumped up. Friday with its news, I think it was CPI, and then we just bumped up. We chilled at the high of the day, gapped higher on the weekend. So now we start with Monday. So let's look at this on the 15-minute. And this is just a reminder for me to get my ranges right, because sometimes I catch myself catching this low. Can't even speak properly because I got the retainer, but this low, right, till this high, and be trying to catch the discount there, right? And honestly, that is too much once we leave a range, right? Because I've already stated this. Once we leave a range, I need to look for that balanced price range or the first low on the gaps or whatever, and that's this low, right? I didn't have that, and I was not sure where to put my low for the discount, right? I just couldn't tell, right? We have this gap, right? We have this low, we have that day that it went to this low, you know. There's a bunch of uncertainty basically, right, to it. So that's what was wrong with this day for me, right? So with all that uncertainty, I genuinely, my brain basically turned off again today, right? This week has been garbage for me, right? After like my weeks of just winning and winning and winning, this week I have 3 losing days, and that's it. That's it. That's 3 losing days. I think Monday. Did I trade Monday? I'm not sure. I'm not sure even what days I lost, right? But I know it's 3 losing days. 2 of them shouldn't be, and today I don't really mind too much. I just got it wrong, right? But the other days I got it right, but I just was gambling, right? I don't know, like this just whatever. I just need to calm down, like restart all of this, right? Because how improbable now, I'm telling Jenny, it could go either way, right? So I'm gonna leave tomorrow as it is, right? And let Friday do its thing, and come back on Tuesday next week. Let me just check what the news for Tuesday next week. All right, we have news on Monday. Do we have NFP? Right, we do have NFP. So trading on Monday would not be the worst thing, right? We can this Monday's tradable. Tuesday. Alright, we have full news. We should expect movement for the start of next month, next week, whatever, right? So yeah, take Friday off and then come back on Monday, and then it's gonna be strictly one MNQ, right? Unlike the XFAs, because I'm in deep ass drawdown, and honestly I don't mind taking the whole week, right? And if I can catch sell helps nicely to just regain back, I don't know, the confidence and some equity, so I don't blow the account, right? Like I think I only have like 500 on one account, and like maybe 7 to 800 of drawdown left, and I've been taking a lot of losing trades this week. So I'm just gonna keep it at 1 MNQ. Don't care about the money, just the process, and just calm it down. Alright. So let's dive it down. Blah blah blah. Womp womp womp. what shit happens, right? Let's get back to what price has done this week and what should they expect it really for price, right? So how do I explain this, right? So price ran up all week, right? I had liquidity for it running all the way up, right? This liquidity. I'm tracking all the liquidity for the week because it's running up and giving no retracement. However, on NFP, not NFP, FOMC, right? If price swooped all the way down, like for example, if we start on Wednesday and we go a lot lower, so look at Wednesday, we come and we just consolidate. If Wednesday starts going lower and then FOMC gives it that extra push, right, to go lower and maybe dive to this discount, right? So now I know how to get my discount, right? This low to that high or whatever the high of it at that current time. So at that current time, this high would have been 8, right? So that would have been discount. But now it's this, right? Anyway, so if we went all the way there, then I would expect, you know what? This was the what do you call it? The manipulation for Wednesday, and we're going to continue up. However, that does not fit the weekly profile, which means that actually had to go all the way down under Monday's low, right? On the day time frame, let me just put that here. So I'm just gonna check. It had to go all the way down here and then come back up for Thursday and Friday to be bullish. However, this week is different because the manipulation, even though in the day we manipulate down, but realistically we go higher as well at the same time, right? So technically we manipulate up, right? We manipulate up, and then on Asia midnight we start this SMT, right, with YM. Midnight. What is it? Here, right? We take this high, basically. Where's the high, bro? Wait, where's my SMT? Get rid of this. Alright, so check that again, right? So this high, drop this. This high, as you can see, is SMT'd here with YM. You see that? That high and this high. So that's a big boy SMT. And with ES, for some reason, it has its own mini SMT, but it gets the same point. It completes the manipulation, right? So now let's dive back to the 1 minute here and just check out what it's done, right? So above this high, that's us taking liquidity. So we dive down to the 1 minute. You can see that we go and we spend time, right? So we put in bodies above it. However, on like something like probably a 15-minute or an hour, hourly, right? We're basically sweeping it, right? We're not advancing, we're not creating gaps above it and going. So that's an indicative of just a sweep, right? Now once that is done, if we're looking at the 15-minute, what happens after that? Boom, we displace lower aggressively, very aggressively, right? Taking these lows. Compared to all the days before, did we even have a displacement that much? Like compared to that? No. So what does that do? That starts, we take liquidity, displace, and then we come back up, right? And then we're going back down. Why? Because this is essentially just a 2022 model, right? It's literally a 2022 model with the displacement, right? So looking at that in the market already, right? I did not pay attention to that, and the fact that midnight open is that far, right? At the time of open, we're right here, right? So to me, if we were gonna go higher, there was one entry that I didn't enter actually, got stopped out. It was here. There was a PD array, right? And I thought we had discount liquidity, right? Kind of made it up, not gonna lie. So I took the L here, right? That was a small L. We were just testing it and seeing if 930 could run up for the buy side liquidity. However, this liquidity is technically past London, so we're technically taking London liquidity out. And here, yes, we made relative equal highs, which doesn't necessarily have to come for it today, right? So, okay, if we're looking at the high time frame, it says we are bearish at the current time, right? We are currently bearish because how we're displacing through all of these lows, especially displacing through this low on a 15-minute time frame. So my main point should be, yo, you already drawing all these liquidities. Why would it not be time for price to go for them? Because hey, it's Thursday, been going up all week, and market tends to makes the higher a week on days like this, on a Thursday, right? Especially after that we already manipulated with this news, and this is our next mini manipulation, right? In case people shorted this, we'll get them out, and then now the real move comes down, where we basically, for this day, like Tuesday close, Wednesday open, we accumulate, we manipulate higher, right, into distribution for this day, right? And then Friday it can just do whatever, and it doesn't matter for me, right? So here on Wednesday, basically morning, I can see the accumulation, right? Double manipulation, right? But to distribute to here, but in the higher time frame, fully manipulating higher to distribute lower. Anyway, let's get to actual what the fuck happened, right? Nothing happened, right? So that's my problem here. 9:30 we open and we just run down for the liquidity, right? We take 1, 2, 3, 4, technically 3. This liquidity doesn't really matter to me, right? 3 liquidities, right? PM, AM, and London of Tuesday. However, see, that's why I need to exercise patience. We take the liquidity by 1 tick. Is that good enough? To me, is that good enough for us to be like, all right, we're done, we could go higher? No. Why? Because when price does this, and it's by a wick, and it's on the 1 minute or even the lower, it's unfinished business, right? It will come back for that low. And on top of that, if I had my discount plotted, right, we still have not reached discount. Okay, so once we go up, right, at 10 exactly, we hit what? This is our opening range gap midpoint. We hit that to the tick, and then look at the bodies, right? This is our new daily opening gap with the quadrants. Bodies respecting the new daily opening gap, not even gaining there. Now, if I'm looking at this properly as a swing of like the 2022 model, so when this is gone down, right? So when the move actually happens, I want to get to discount again, right? You see discount is right here. So let's just keep that and hop down into the lower time frame and look at this relative equal highs, right? Buy side. So we go to discount, we take buy side, and we pop into the 15-minute gap, and notice how we close, right? Bodies here, not even in the gap, and we wick digest into it. That is so bearish. That is so bearish, right? However, at this time, I've already took my 2 bullets for the day, right? And I fucked it up. So I can't even enter the shorts. And even then, I think I would still be biasing like buy side, right? Like going there. And then on top of that, if we're looking at the 1 hour, notice this clear fair value gap that we go into, tap, respect, and drop lower, right? Just notice that. See this wick, this gap, right? We go fill it on the 1 hour, 5 minute, right? If we're checking, right? Now that we're discount, let's look at any fair value gap in discount. Okay, this one. Do we close bodies above it? No. Wick, wick, wick. So now, and now only, if you waited, and I'm like, all right, you know what? Okay, it's unfinished business. It's clear that it wants to go lower. Okay, so once we go down, right, entry could have been anywhere here, or for example, the change in state at delivery right there. So when price goes below it, you could enter up there. If I'm waiting for candles to close, and I should be, right, where do we have our PD arrays? Right there is a clear bearish fair value gap. Now if we're gonna go and use like more advanced things on to like for entry, right, what do we have on the daily that could support this? We have this this wick now that we want to use it for finding time and price on whatever, right, on the lower time frame. As you can see, this, once price goes to the rejection block right here, right, and then leaves it, this order block should be respected, right? This one should be respected. I'd use it as a proportion block, but this order block basically should not be breached for like the upper half of it, right? It should not be breached. So stop loss above this high would be saved as a fair value gap entry. Okay, so now knowing this fair value gap lies on top of the quadrant right there. However, it's not time, right, because it's 10:14 when it visits it, but I guess it's made with time, right? Whatever, the fair value gap is clear, right? Go into it, and what makes it good is because this big fair value gap, right, is now would be an inverse fair value gap, right, because we go and close below it, right? We're not showing it respect in time, right? At 10:10 we close below it. We don't care. That shows signs that we are bearish. So once we go above to fill our initial gap, notice how we don't go above it, right, the whole day. And notice once time comes right there, 12:50, 12:55, 12:57, I mean, there is an entry into that gap, right? This inverse, and it goes, but then comes back and goes. However, that entry is safe. It's just this day is just a very high resistance liquidity run. So there's an entry here. There was that entry. You would have to get out here when price was showing that it's not willing, and it does all of this, and eventually it goes to that liquidity down there, and eventually hits the discount of our range late into the day. And all of this is Apple and Amazon earning reports, so that's why we have this high resistance liquidity run. Normally when we have a crazy earning report, expect the price to be muddy in the AM and kind of the PM session until like I guess the final hour, and then you're gonna start seeing some movement, right? Because you know that's what it's doing. Anyway, now price can do whatever it wants. Don't care, right? It could take this low, right? Or it could solidify that this is genuinely the actual discount and we write about it. But I don't know. I didn't like that I entered early. I didn't like that, the pre-market entry. I mean, I should have genuinely seen the shorts. So that's fine. That is a small loss. However, I really did not like that. I'm pretty sure I probably chased price going up here. Why? Because on this fair value gap, right? It was 1004 and it goes and smacks the upper quadrant of it, right? And this is the one laying on top over. So I kind of got, once I seen the reaction, I was spamming again, right? So like entered my limit because like this is kind of a scuffed entry for my model, but it is there. So I was trying to like basically get to it, but yeah, yo, garbage. So as you can see, anyway, earlier from the day, right, when I'm looking at price, I'm already like second. It feels like it's a hard time for me to tell where it could stop, right? And if I feel like it's a hard time to find where it could stop, that means it's possibly not going to stop, right? That means, hey, maybe it's time for the liquidities that you have drawn out to be targeted, right? So that's going to be my protocol next time. Like, hey, yo, if it looks hard to tell what the fuck is going on, then maybe it's time to actually commit to the short, because I get burnt, right? Trying to like short the all-time highs or whatever, right? Trying to go into a liquidity one, it just wants to print higher. However, after 1, 2, 3 days of going up, we gotta go lower on Thursday, right? I gotta know my weekly and daily profiles. That's what I need to advance on. And well, today realistically is low probability. I'd say it's honestly best just left for combine accounts if I have them, right? To be using them for this day, because I don't like what I'm seeing regardless, right? Okay, it's unfinished business, blah blah blah. This is nice, whatever. However, it's just this is realistically my ideal entry. But I don't know if I would have got baited, and that's the problem, right? I hate the runs down where it leaves these clear relative equal highs. However, there's an SMT with ES, right? And it's hard to spot out initially. Why? Because I couldn't. I thought these were the same highs, right? So here on SMT, I mean ES, this high and these highs are the same. Second, where's the different highs? All right, is it this high? Yeah, this high actually gets SMT'd with all of these basically, right? So you notice how this is a lower high. I thought this high was this high, right? I wasn't really looking. So that SMT with the bunch of SMTs, right? With that relative equal high, kinda, I'd say kinda makes up for it, right? Because why it's not um it goes for it, but I would have liked a cleaner short term, intermediate term, then another short term. So this intermediate term high type of setup for me to be like, okay, we might come back for these later. Anyway, tough, right? That's what I'm gonna say. Like this day, I feel like when a day makes me work for it, just leave it, right? Just leave it. Why? Because once we have something like this, right? So if I'm trying to follow my continuation model, right? And I should be knowing today should not be having any continuation, regardless. Here, once we hit this wick and go up higher, I should price should not be jumping back down into our range. That's very, very bearish, right? Dropping to this tells us, yo, it's time to dash lower, right? Now, I should not be expecting it to be anywhere close. And actually, this is my idiocy, right? I should be taking the manipulation leg higher, right? So to me, I can't tell what's the clear manipulation leg higher, right? So see, this is a problem because that day is so scuffed, you can't really tell on a lot of things, right? So manipulation leg high could be this, or Jenny could be that, and hey, to me that Loki makes sense maybe for Friday to dump us even more, right? So anyway, it's a mess. Again, the struggle. There was one trade, right? And if I just followed, and I guess now I need to add a rule. I need to look at all the time frames before I enter the trade, like at that time. So I need to check the 4 hour, like quickly check the 4 hour, quickly check the 1 hour, quickly check the 15 minutes, right? And quickly check the 5 minute, right? 3 minute, right? And if I did that, right? If I just done that task of just paying attention to all them time frames, there was no way I would enter long. It would not make any sense. It's just against the bias. Anyway, that's the market recap. Probably my worst week in, I don't know, 2 months or some shit. I don't know how I got. I don't know if I got complacent with it. I'm not too sure what they're about. We'll take the break from tomorrow, the weekend, and I'll spend the weekend revising my model, getting better, right? I know I got only like hundreds in drawdown left before blowing, and I believe I can get it back. I just need to stick to one MNQ for 1 week, and that's it. Simple as that. Anyway, of course, keep winning on that week. Anyway, peace out, man.